for this assignment, you are going to be, this is the assignment. Create a 5-step instructional process that has no words. So I bought a TV the other day, and TVs now are pretty much, you set them up and you go. But there are some instructions how to put the feet on. So when I opened the instruction manual, it was just one sheet that had a series of pictures on it. So it wasn't like I had the English directions, the French directions, the Spanish directions. I didn't have a whole sheet, a whole booklet full of different languages. It just had 5 or 6 pictures showing me take the box off, flip the TV over, plug the feet on, screw them in, put it in, plug the power cord in, and you're ready to go. Which is way better than printing an entire booklet of stuff that most of it I'm not even going to read because I don't read any other languages. So your assignment is to come up with a process that you are familiar with, and in 5 steps, basically create a storyboard that shows the directions on how to do that. And I'll show you my example in a minute. But first I want to talk about, these are the 2 things that you probably learned in English class. I know for sure this is covered in 9th grade because I taught 9th grade English, and we went over this as one of the first things that we went over in the semester. So this is the narrative arc. Like, it starts, any story, any movie you watch, any book you read that's not like a self-help, but any story that's told follows this line of development. So there's the exposition, where basically your characters are introduced, or whatever, it's any information that you need to know why this is happening. Then you've got the rising actions, where things start to happen, kind of showing you, if you're sitting there going, oh, I think this is going to happen, it's because of the rising actions. Then you've got your climax, which is the most important part of, this is where everything kind of comes to a boil. And then you've got your falling actions, which is where all the loose ends are kind of tied up, and it ends up at the resolution. When you're doing this, because you only have 5 steps, you might have 2 rising actions, no falling actions. You might just go from your climax to your resolution, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So you've all seen, I'm sure you're familiar with storyboards. So the first thing that you have to do in order to complete this assignment is, number 1, pick what process you're going to do. I picked a process that you can't, once I show you this, you can't do it, but it's a process that I have personal experience with because I have a kid, but probably not many of you have this experience. So I did, my 5-step process is how to change a diaper. So you could do how to make ramen noodles, how to tie your shoe, how to sharpen a pencil. There's a number of things that you can do that you can boil it down to a 5-step process. But it's essentially a storyboard. So the first step is to put your storyboard together. Here's an example of a storyboard. Now it's not 5 steps, but this is a classic story where a guy meets a girl falls in love with the guy, then the guy falls for the girl's best friend, then the best friend breaks the guy's heart, then the guy finally sees the girl, and then finally they get together and they live happily ever after. Again, a story that's been told in romantic comedies over and over and over again. But that's a storyboard, is organizing these visuals, and not really well-drawn visuals, but organizing these things in a linear fashion so that it makes sense step by step, so that the story gets told and it makes sense to the people who weren't there. So you need 2 things. and before you have your final, which I chose to do black and white. It creates more contrast. It made it easier to emphasize. You notice that really the things that are colored in solid black are the things that are important, or the things that require action in this. So arrows, the arrows are the most prominent. Like, even when I look at my off screen, my camera, my screen off camera, when I look at that, when I step back here, I can't see really much of this, but I can definitely see these 3 arrows. And that was an intentional decision on my part. So the other things that you'll notice that are colored in solid are the exclamation points on the dirty diaper. And you can see that right there. And the only other solid thing is the circle around the biohazard. So everything else is just a simple line drawing. So this doesn't have to be complex, but you can see here's the stages of the thing, right? Step 1 is a baby with a dirty diaper, and the dirty diaper is represented visually as a diaper with 2 exclamation points on it. Step 2, so this is like the exposition, right? This is, I've got a kid with a dirty diaper. What's going to have to, how am I going to resolve that? Well, first, step 1 is to take a clean diaper out of the diaper box. Okay, rising action. What's going to happen? Ultimately, the diaper is going to get changed, which is what happens in step 3. Now, if you've ever changed a diaper, or even if you haven't, obviously step 3 is not that easy. There is a lot more of a mess involved. There's a lot more, like, this is something that requires practice. But in a 5-step instructional process, you don't have the luxury of doing that. So you've got to simplify these steps. So you can see step 3 is, okay, once you've got the clean diaper, you take the dirty diaper, you remove it, and even on that, like, there's these little arrows where disposable diapers have these little Velcro tabs. So you take you undo the tabs, the arrow tells you get rid of the dirty diaper, and then the next part is to take that clean diaper and put it underneath where the dirty diaper used to be. And then, okay, so now that, like, you've got the diapers changed, so now what? You got to get rid of the dirty diaper, which, again, falling action, the conflict, the climax, the conflict has been resolved, right? So we've done that, but now we've got to tie up all of our loose ends, which is basically just throwing away the dirty diaper. And then ultimately we have the resolution of the baby with the clean diaper represented by a diaper. Now, instead of exclamation parts, we have that, like, clean sparkle, and we've got the thumbs up to show that, yay, we did it. So on your journey to getting this, your final, done, the first step is to put together a storyboard, and your storyboard doesn't even have to be, you don't even have to draw anything on it. If you want to like plan out your organization of space, you can. But this is what my storyboard looks like. So you can see the exposition, baby with dirty diaper, and then I'll show you if you want to see, like, ask me in class. I've got a couple more sheets of paper where I redrew and I traced the baby so that the baby looked the same every time. That's, if you're simplifying something, like, the baby and the diaper are the same. The only difference between the diaper is when it's either closed or it's open. But I basically traced, every time I drew that diaper, I took it to my light board and I traced it so that it's consistent, so that, you know, once you recognize the one diaper, like, you don't have to decipher those hieroglyphics basically every time you look at the diaper. The diaper is the same all the way across that 5-step process. So again, 5-step process. You can choose to use color. You can choose to keep it black and white. That's up to you. You cannot have words. You can use exclamation points. You can use arrows. I use lots of arrows. And think of it in terms of that narrative arc. And if you have any questions, again, like anything else, you can ask me. Your English teacher might also be able to help you with this. But that's it. 5 steps. Finals should be done in pen and ink. I don't want to see any pencil marks when you're done. And like I said, color is optional. And at that point, the medium is up to you.